The Bitcoin Brew is here at the YTexas Summit, and I snagged Colonel Salinas from Afwerx. Thank you so much for meeting with me today.
Of course, nice to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
My pleasure. Can you tell us, what does Afwerx stand for? What is your mission?
It's funny, Afwerx doesn't really stand for anything other than like Air Force maybe works, but really it represents an innovation organization that we've put together within the Air Force to kind of go after leading edge capability, to try to generate a culture of innovation within the Air Force, and also look to team with innovative small tech startup companies to find ways that we can take that technology and some of the ideas that our airmen and guardians have, accelerate that capability, put some resources behind it, and ideally transition it to capability within the Air Force.
Excellent. So are you an official arm of the Air Force, or are you a separate entity?
We are well within the Air Force, yeah. So we are embedded within the Air Force Research Laboratory as a directorate there.
That makes sense. So you're funded by government or by?
Government, yeah. But one of the biggest instruments that we have to get after some of this capability is funded through the SBA. So the Small Business Innovation and Research funds that we have, we actually manage the entire SBA, SBIR budget for all of the Department of the Air Force. And it's one of the biggest amounts within the DoD. So pretty big responsibility, but also a big privilege to go out there and take some interesting shots on goal to get after our secretary's imperatives and some of the priorities from some of our major commands and things like that. But that idea that we can not only, or we have the opportunity to also explore while also iterating on capability that we already have.
Perfect. So Afwerx is here at the YTexas Summit. What brought you all here? What's the draw?
Yeah, so one, we got invited. Good to be here. Also, we are located all over the United States. We have people. One, we're almost a complete remote workforce, except for some of our military. But we have hub locations all around the United States. This is one. We actually have a location in Austin. I lead that Austin location, and it's helped us get, from a regional perspective, get aligned not only because of the fact that we have Army innovation there, we have the Office of the Secretary of Defense's Defense Innovation Unit there, and so we can be there. And really, it really helps to integrate what we're doing as a joint united front when we are at least close together. We can talk, we can meet each other, build those relationships, and also keep a kind of a public-facing presence with industry, and which is one of the reasons also why we came out here.
Well, perfect. I was waiting to speak with you, and I overheard a conversation that you were having with, looks like a high school team, and they were talking about their drone and the battery size, and you were giving them some really valuable information. So I loved to be kind of a fly on the wall to see some actual, you connecting with the young people and giving them ideas. It's
funny because that really excites me. And you find the difference, when you look at the way we've always approached technology, especially from a military perspective, we obviously see things in one way, especially from a more experienced manner. We kind of see almost a very deliberate approach to technology, which is important. But what I find interesting, and this is one of the things that Afwerx has really gotten after, is what are we missing? What are those novel solutions that exist in the world and technology that maybe we didn't think of? And because sometimes, let's face it, we think we're the smartest person in the room, right? But when you put that technology in the hands of some of our younger people, it's amazing what they come up with. So I asked them, hey, what was interesting to you here that you saw today? And there's the one more vocal kid in the group, and he was like, high-speed drones. And your first thought is high-speed drones are cool because they go fast, you can race them. But so I was curious what he would say. So I said, you saw that. What's cool about it to you? And what do you envision? What is the use case that you think is interesting? He goes, oh, completely. If somebody's running from the police, in a police chase, instead of having the police car chase after them on the streets, put people in danger, you could have the drone do it. And I was like, man, that is super cool, and that's on their minds, They're not thinking of, well, my requirement is I got to have a better helicopter, or I've got to think about the safety of the police officer and the policy. He's like, here's a technology, let's use it for that. And then it just brought in this great additional question of, okay, well, it's small. How long is that battery going to last? What do you think about that? And you kind of can see the gears turning. It's like, hey, where's battery technology going right now? where can it go? And so it was just super fun to have those conversations with those kids.
And you could tell they were so into it because as a former teacher, like they all had their rapt attention focused on you. You could have heard a pin drop. They were just so interested.
So fun. I love it.
So speaking of technology, tell us, are you all using blockchain technology and in what capacity?
So we're definitely looking at it. I would say, one of the interesting things is I'm not sure I could pull from a specific requirement where we're saying I need blockchain to do X, but we definitely have, I mentioned our exploratory capability. So one of the things we call the open topic solicitation that we put out from Afwerx. And I actually went through and looked for, and we do have some companies involved in blockchain. And that's what's interesting is that we can open it up, even though I may not have a specific call out, we can still open the aperture and blockchain companies come in. And I think, if we think about what's interesting about it, especially what's important to us right now, I would say within like supply chain, and supply line security, and a lot of the due diligence that we need to do in that supply chain. I just got done with another group talking about how important that is and like, what do we need to do? Do we need to fix our current ones, develop new ones? And my thought is both, right? And I think that's an area that could be a very interesting space. And I think we all understand that that's where a lot of folks would even see that going in blockchain.
It's one of our missions as the Texas Blockchain Council is to help provide that education, not only to policymakers, but also college students and high school students. We have an arm that broke out called the Texas Bitcoin Foundation that is specifically dedicated to education. And then we have a mining foundation that takes donations of miners. And we've recently plugged in to A&M, and we have some other campuses kind of on the mind. But when you were talking about how the young people are thinking about and applying these technologies in ways that we don't really think about.
Exactly.
I think it's going to be a cool dynamic between the two. So Colonel Salinas, thank you so much for joining us. Can you tell us, where do we find you on the web? Where do we find your organization? Yeah, it's a simple, we have a very open source way to come find us on Afwerx.com and get more information about our solicitations and a lot of the other different capabilities that we have out there. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Did you like that? You want to see more? Click here to subscribe. Click here for more content. And we'll see you next time.